So, a very good morning to all of you. Jai Hind and welcome to the daily current affairs and MCQ series. I hope you all are doing good. So, let's discuss the first article that we are talking about. It talks about the direct benefit transfer scheme or the direct benefit transfer feature now being extended to the midday meal scheme, right? Remember, the students or the school children, those who used to have their meals through the MDMS, as you call the midday meal scheme, they have been forced to remain at houses, and many of them have missed their nutritional needs as well. So with respect to that, let's take a look at what is the new development. So the Union Minister for Education, MHRD, remember, was changed to what? The Education Ministry, right? So the Union Minister for Education has approved the proposal to provide monetary assistance to 11.8 crore students through the direct benefit transfer of the cooking cost component. The cooked meals that were served to them, uska jo cooking cost component hai, according to that, this amount will be transferred through the DBT, right, of the midday meal scheme. So it is eligible, it is being provided to all eligible children as a special welfare measure. Remember that India is a welfare state and it is supposed to cater to the needs of its population, particularly the children, as also being protected under their right to elementary education, through which or to ensure which the MDMS has been incorporated, right? So this will give a fillip to the midday meal program. Certainly, this is in addition to the Government of India's announcement of distribution of free of cost food grains under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, right? This is over the PMGKAY component of the free grains that are being distributed by the Government of India. ठीक है? This will certainly augur well for the nutritional needs of the children, believing that this amount will be used wisely by those families, especially by the parents of the children, right? And this decision will help safeguard the nutritional levels of children and aid in protecting their immunity during the challenging pandemic times. Now remember, if your body is not getting the diet properly, and more so a diet which is nutritious as well, so certainly your immunity will also be affected by that, right? If you are not having a diet which is nutritious enough and you are not being able to provide that much amount of nutrition and hygiene and diet to the body, then it will affect the overall capabilities of the body of the child and the immune system including in that. So if we talk about this particular provision, so this is a one-time special welfare measure by the Union government and will benefit about 11.8 crore children studying in from class 1 to class 8 in 11.2 lakh government and government aided schools across the country. So please remember, not just the government schools but also the government aided schools, right? So points to be noted: one time scheme as a one time special welfare measure, right? Not being done for the entire year or for the coming times as well, but as a one time measure. And second, both for government and government aided schools. Okay, so that is with respect to the DBT under MDM scheme or MDMS. Moving on to the question: which of the following statements are correct with respect to the midday meal program and provisions related to it? First, the midday meal program existed even before independence, when was introduced for disadvantaged children in then Madras in 1925. This should have been when it was, right? And second, to cater to such needs, the school education department budget was enhanced by almost 5,000 crore for the year 2020-21. Yes. So please type your answers in the comment box. The midday meal program even existed even before independence, when it was introduced for disadvantaged children in then Madras in 1925. And the second statement, which do you think is are correct? Hanji. So I'll take a halt, or you can pause the video and mark your answers in the comment box. I'll certainly be viewing who all are typing their answers. Chaliye. So I'll discuss the first statement. The first statement, which reads that the midday meal program existed even before independence, and it was introduced way back in 1925 in Madras Municipal Corporation School. Fine. So the first statement is correct. And second, to cater to such needs, the school education department budget was not enhanced, rather it has been reduced by almost 5,000 crore rupees for the year 2020-21, right? So that is correct. The 2020-2021 budget saw a decrease in the allocation for school education department budget. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए ज़रूरी है, इनफैक्ट जो अभी ये डीबीटी के थ्रू एमडीएमएस में कंपोनेंट 1 स्पेशल मेजर जो लिया है, वेलफेयर मेजर, इसके लिए अलग से एलोकेशन जो है वो प्रोवाइड की गई है. द मनी राइट नाउ फॉर डीबीटी, यू माइट बी वंडरिंग कि अगर जो है पिछले साल भी पैसा कट किया गया था, देन हाउ now this money is being allocated. So this is, this has been provided specially for this particular measure the government has taken right now, right? So your answers will be, the correct statement is only one, that is option A. ठीक है? So for question 1, answer is A. You can take a look here. In 1925, a midday meal program was introduced for disadvantaged children in Madras Municipal Corporation, and the centre's current expenditure on midday meal scheme is about 11,000 crore rupees, and the school education department saw a budget cut of almost 5,000 crore for 2020-2021, right? Chaliye. So moving to the next article, which talks about the IFRS norms. तो इन नॉर्म्स को लेके जो है इंडिया में इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर ने सरकार से कहा है दैट प्लीज रोल आउट द IFRS norms as early as possible. So let's take a look at what exactly these norms are and why the insurance sector is demanding its rollout. So insurance companies have sought early implementation of the international financial reporting standards from the government. Why this has been, the demand, that it would help insurers in India in shifting towards a risk-based solvency and supervision regime. So the point is that when you will be shifting to a risk-based solvency and supervision regime, what will be the benefit of that? We will come to that in a moment. But if we talk about a risk-based model of solvency which is involved here, what is it exactly? It is a method for measuring the minimum amount of capital that is appropriate for a reporting entity to support its overall business operations in consideration of its size and risk profile, right? The amount of exposure you are having, or the amount of risk exposure you are having, with respect to that you have to maintain certain capital. ठीक है? And this means that if we shift to a risk-based capital model of solvency, then it would mean that a company having more riskier businesses, or which is insuring more riskier businesses in the context of this particular article, then it will be required to hold more amount of capital. ठीक है? तो सीधी सीधी बात यह है कि the more amount of risk, the more amount of capital you have to have with you to cushion, to provide a cushion, or to provide against any unfortunate, sort of, what do I say? So any unfortunate happening when, the insurance sector has to give away that much amount to the insurer. कि आपको जो है जिस वक्त कोई particular ऐसा क्लेम आएगा जब आपको you will have to pay out that money, then you are having sufficient amount of money so as to provide for that, right? And that is why it is important for these companies to have that much amount of capital. तो simply क्या हो जाएगा, the amount of risk will be proportional to the amount of capital that is required to be maintained. ठीक है? And the request was made when the government had sought suggestions on amendments to Indian Insurance Companies Foreign Investment Rules 2015, which impose certain restrictions on insurers with foreign investment over 49%. तो अब ये इसमें another thing is that the insurance companies in India which are having joint ventures with foreign companies, उनके लिए जो है they are having this issue or this challenge of maintaining twin set of standards. One is the company with which it is having JV, which is based in some country outside of India, or you can say some UK or US based country which is following this particular model, and the country and the company which is based in India, or the Indian company which is following the Indian precedent or the Indian model of solvency. ठीक है, तो उसमें issue, the challenge is that you have to maintain two sets of accounts or the solvency models, which becomes, you can say, tedious for the JV or the joint venture to operate together. Fine, so that is one challenge. It will be more clear when we'll take a look at this particular thing. The International Financial Reporting Standards set common rules so that financial statements can be consistent, ट्रांसपेरेंट एंड कंपेरेबल अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. ठीक है, तो ये समझ लो एक तरीके से कि नॉर्म्स जो हैं अगर ऑल अक्रॉस द ग्लोब उनमें कुछ यूनिफॉर्मिटी होगी, देन इट विल बी इजियर अक्रॉस द ग्लोब टू हैव कंपैरिजन एंड अ सेट ऑफ यूनिफॉर्मिटी और वन सेट स्टैंडर्ड सेट with respect to those things, right? IFRS, they are issued by International Accounting Standards Board, IASB, ठीक है, and they specify how companies must maintain and report their accounts, defining types of transactions and other events with financial impact, ठीक है. And last, IFRS were established to create a common accounting language so that businesses and their financial statements can be consistent and reliable from company to company and country to country, that is across the globe. ठीक है, तो यही जो है यूनिफॉर्मिटी वाली जो चीज़ है या यूनिफॉर्मिटी वाला जो एस्पेक्ट है उसी को लाने के लिए जो है इवन IRDAI, that is the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, the regulator of insurance sector in India, is also contemplating for last couple of years to shift onto this system. ठीक है, and now this demand has also come from the insurance players in India, right? So let's see how this move goes on, but at least you should be aware of these things. I think the commerce people would be able to relate more better to it. चलिए, so moving to the question now, which of the following statements are incorrect regarding the prevailing norms in insurance sector in India? IRDAI has recently launched the risk-based internal audit system for some non-bank lenders. Then second, currently it is mandatory to maintain a solvency margin of 150% for every insurer, irrespective of the amount of risks that the promoting entities of the insurer carry. And third, insolvency margin is the extent to which an insurance company's assets exceed its liability. Yes. So, please type your answers in the comment box. I'll take a halt. Please make it sure that all of you type your answers in the comment box. Okay, so let's discuss the first statement that says that IRDAI has recently launched the risk-based internal audit system for some non-bank lenders. This is wrong. This has not been issued by IRDAI. Rather, it was the Reserve Bank of India that has launched this particular thing, right? So first is incorrect. And if first is incorrect and you are supposed to mark the incorrect ones, then what this B eliminates? Right, then currently it is mandatory to maintain a solvency margin of 150% for every insurer, irrespective of the amount of risks that the promoting entities of the insurer carry. Yes, that is correct. कि अभी जो है irrespective of the exposure you are having on the risk front, you are supposed to have a solvency margin of 150%. ठीक है, तो ये भी ट्रबलसम है, इसको कॉन्टेम्पलेट किया था IRDAI ने रिड्यूस करने के लिए टू समवेयर अराउंड 145% और 140%, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट इट शुड बी प्रोपोर्शनेट टू द रिस्क एक्सपोजर यू आर हैविंग, राइट। जितना आपका कम रिस्क है उतना आपके लिए कम कैपिटल जो है उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट होनी चाहिए, एंड जितना आपका ज्यादा रिस्क है उतना आपके लिए मैंडेटरी होना चाहिए दैट अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट एक्सपोजर दैट यू आर हैविंग यू शुड बी मेंटेनिंग दैट मच अमाउंट ऑफ कैपिटल in proportion to that, I mean to say, right? And the third statement, that solvency margin is the extent to which an insurance company's assets exceed its liabilities. Yes, that is also correct. So the answer will be for question 2, that is only first is incorrect, that is option D, because only the statement 1 is incorrect, right? Chaliye. So you can read this in the PDF. Moving on to the next article. So cyclones, you know, they have been in news consistently for over a fortnight now, and we have had, India has had cyclones on both its sides, that is the eastern as well as the western sides. So there was an article which very beautifully has, you know, pointed out the multifaceted aspects, or you can say all the aspects relating to that. So let's just take a look at what it talks. Cyclone Taute is a warning for India's west coast. And what does this exactly say? We'll take a look. So India saw its second cyclone in a month as Cyclone Yas in the Bay of Bengal battered Odisha and West Bengal coast. To be sure, cyclones in the Bay of Bengal are almost an annual affair, right? But what is unusual or what is indifferent is that, or what is different is that Cyclone Taute in the Arabian Sea, which affected almost all the states on the western coast, was more uncommon phenomena. Why it was a more uncommon phenomena? Not only are cyclones relatively uncommon in the Arabian Sea, Taute also intensified rapidly. कि एक चीज अरेबियन सी पे, this has been discussed by, you know, in the weekly current affairs class as well, but still these cyclones in the Arabian Sea, they are not that much frequent in their nature, and that is why this becomes all the more important for the environmentalists particularly and the policy formulators of the country to take these things into heed. Right, this is something the India Meteorological Department, that is the IMD in India, had not forecast. So if your national agency, that is the apex agency IMD, is not being able to forecast such a thing, that means that something unusual is happening at the climate change level, which is affecting certainly all these phenomena, right, and which has an effect on the population. So with the climate crisis, the Arabian Sea could see more such intense cyclonic disturbances going forward, according to the experts, right? So these are all observations which are important for you both from prelims and mains point of view. Remember that. The UPSC well could be asking a question on the analysis part of it, right? Okay, so now we'll have a look at these snapshots from the newspaper, which say that between 2011 to 2020, the period saw highest number of cyclones in the Arabian Sea. That is, this particular period saw highest number of cyclones in the Arabian Sea since 1890s. Just take a look at the graph which says, you know, IMD has records of cyclones among the two major seas of North Indian Ocean, that is going back to 1890s, and a decade-wise analysis which is very succinctly put here: cyclonic storms in decade and severe cyclonic storms in decade. So you can see the red area which is marked, or the Bay of Bengal which is marked in red, it is declining, and the Arabian Sea is increasing from this, and here also it has been increasing. So that is the severe cyclonic storms in this decade, it has also risen, and the Bay of Bengal rather has come down. Same is the case with cyclonic storms in the decade, that you have relatively less number of such phenomena happening in the Bay of Bengal. And the blue which shows the Arabian Sea that has increased, right? So this is a case in point or a cause of concern for the environmentalists. Then the second, which talks about warmer oceans don't just increase cyclones, they also make them more unpredictable. And certainly देखो पहली चीज तो ये है ज्योग्राफी में या जोलॉजी में, even in climatology, when we study the models, they are based on certain presumptions and they are themselves, you know, prone to some sort of margins and errors. That is, they are not always accurate. And when such phenomena are taking place, that is, your oceans are becoming more unpredictable. That, what does that mean? That means that there are challenges which are lying ahead in front of humanity, particularly the agencies such as the World Meteorological Organization, the Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, because such phenomena are going to rise, and you, if are not able to predict them, then we might have to face loss of lives and livelihoods, right? So please take a read at this also. Then the third thing, western coast has more to lose from cyclones in material terms. That is the analysis of the total gross output, or the amount of money that could be lost with respect to the western coast of India. ठीक है? The states on India's western coast contributed 35% to the country's GDP in 2018-2019. 35% of India's GDP coming from the western coastal states. ठीक है? For which data from all states is available in the CMIE database. The states on the eastern coast contributed 21%. So that also, you know, if you are having such disasters increasing in the future, that will affect your economy as well. That is the third aspect, right? Then the fourth, this talks about western coast is more densely populated, which entails a greater risk to human lives. तो एक तो चीज है कि ईस्टर्न कोस्ट पे भी जो है राइज है साइक्लोन्स का, मतलब कि दूसरी तरफ भी पॉपुलेशन को खतरा, और वेस्टर्न कोस्ट पे भी जो है, सिंस यू आर हैविंग अ डेंसली पॉपुलेटेड रीजन देयर, it poses a greater risk to the human lives in terms of livelihoods. We have seen in the earlier third step, and the fourth slide which talks about greater risk to human lives. ठीक है? Western coast has more pockets of high population density, right? So that is another aspect to be looked into. Then that is with respect to the analysis. Take a look at it by yourself also in the PDF to all these articles, all these snapshots. I've included them so as to give you a complete holistic perspective, right? Chaliye. So moving to the question now, match the names of cyclones with the region associated with them. Name and the region both are given in these two lists. Kindly make a match. Wili Wili, Philippine Island; Bogio, North West Pacific Ocean; Typhoon, North Atlantic Ocean; Hurricane, Australia. Yes. So these are the lists in front of you. I'll just take a halt. Okay, so let's begin the discussion. देखो, simply Wili Wili जो है, I'll just change just a moment. Yes. So Wili Wili goes with Australia. That is, one has to go with D. If one has to go with D, that means you outright eliminate 1 and B. ठीक है? उसके बाद देखो, फिलीपींस से एसोसिएटेड है बगुयो. That means 2 should be going with A. ठीक है? अगर 2A के साथ है, you have the answer as C, because here 2 goes with B, which eliminates option D, right? So Wili Wili goes with Australia, Baguio goes with Philippine Island, then Typhoon, third, it goes with basically North West Pacific Ocean, and Hurricane goes with North Atlantic Ocean. ठीक है? Hurricane goes with North Atlantic Ocean. That is, 4 should be going with C. So your answer will be C as well. ठीक है? चलिए, सो ये क्योंकि जो नेमिंग सिस्टम है वो रीजन बेस्ड होता है, जहां ओरिजिन है उस पर्टिकुलर साइक्लोन का, उसके हिसाब से. सो दैट इज हाउ दीज आर डिफरेंशिएटेड, ऑल्दो दे बीइंग द सेम फिनोमेना. ओके, So moving to the next article now, which talks about Britain has given approval to the single shot Johnson and Johnson COVID vaccine. So let's take a look at that. So UK has approved the use of single shot Johnson and Johnson coronavirus vaccine. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, which is the regulator, it has made this announcement. Earlier, there were some concerns when the European Medicines Agency in April had flagged that, or it had given a warning about unusual blood clots with low blood platelet count, and it had said that this should be particularly added as a warning to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that is the product information, following the cases in US. Okay? But now this has been clarified that Johnson & Johnson, that this is a very rare condition which is observed. So the vaccine was found to be 72% effective in preventing moderate to severe coronavirus infection, according to a US trial that took place earlier. And after months of falling cases, now what is the, why precisely is UK trying to increase the cover of population which is being vaccinated, is because after months of falling cases, infections have started to rise again in UK due to the emergence of India dominant variant. And this is also particularly important for us to take note of, that is in India also, since यहाँ पे देखो पहले, since they were having the cases fall, but now because of the dominant variant that was first spotted in India, the cases are again increasing. So that means that we also cannot let our guard loose. We also have to be cautious enough. ठीक है? चलिए. So moving to the question now. Yes. So which of the following statements is or are correct regarding the following medical conditions in the light of COVID-19? Physicians sometimes administer antibiotics to prevent or treat secondary bacterial infections, which can be a complication of COVID-19 in severely ill patients. Then second, which talks about thrombosis is a condition in which you have a low platelet count, low blood platelet count. And third, thrombocytopenia is the process of a blood clot, also known as thrombus, forming in a blood vessel. Yes. Please type your answers in the comment box. Okay, so let's discuss the first statement. What does the first statement say? The first statement reads that physicians sometimes administer antibiotics to prevent or treat secondary bacterial infections, which can be a complication of COVID-19 in severely ill patients. Yes, that is correct. Remember, these antibiotics, they are not effective against the viruses but the bacteria, right? So first is correct. Then the second and the third, they are basically interchanged. ठीक है? जो thrombosis है, that is, this thrombosis is the process of a blood clot, also known as thrombus. ठीक है? Whereas thrombocytopenia is a condition in which you have low blood platelet count. And why I have included these two particular terms from the medical terminology is that कि यही जो दो चीजें हैं, that was being reported as a side effect of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in USA, which although is a very rare phenomena because of that vaccine, but still this was particularly the complication that was being caused by the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which was reported or flagged, right? So second and third both are interchanged and they are wrong. That is why they are wrong. So what will be the answer? The correct statement is only one, right? That is option B. ठीक है? देखिए, जो भी कोविड की वजह से मेडिकल टर्मिनोलॉजी की चीजें न्यूज में हैं, that at least you should be having a basic idea, right? Okay, so moving forward now, this you can read: the antibiotics do not work against the viruses but only against bacterial infections, and the administration with respect to that. Then thrombosis and thrombocytopenia. Both I have mentioned. Please take a look in the PDF. Chaliye. Now moving to the map based question. Yes, all of you, I am certainly watching who all are answering in the comment box. Yes. So which of the following statements is are correct regarding Ross Sea? It is one of the least iced and most accessible of Antarctica's fringe seas. Ross Sea is the northern extension of the Pacific Ocean. And last, Adelie penguins and Arctic petrels are found in this region. हाँ जी, तो ये region जो है हमने पहले भी discuss किया है. It is not, which is something new for you. So please type your answers in the comment box quickly. Okay, so let's discuss the first statement. I believe you must have marked your answers in the comment box. Those of you who have still not, then please pause the video and make sure that you type your answer there. So with respect to Ross Sea, the first statement which talks about it is one of the least iced and hence the most accessible of Antarctic's fringe seas. That is correct. That is a fact. कि आपके लिए ये जो है this is easily rather accessible to, because of being iced in a very less manner. Then it is the northern extension of the Pacific Ocean. Yes, is it the northern extension of the Pacific Ocean? No, it is not. The second statement is why correct, because it is the southern extension of the Pacific Ocean. ठीक है? And last, that is Adelie penguins and Antarctic petrels, they are found in this region. So this third statement is correct. Fine. And second, if is incorrect, then you outright eliminate D and C and remains A and B, both 1 and 3 are correct. ठीक है? First and third both are correct. Let's quickly move on to the map. Question 5, answer is A. Yes, here you have the map and here you can take a look at the Ross Sea. ठीक है? This is the West Antarctica region, and we have seen other parts of the West Antarctic region earlier in some of the questions, right? So here you have the Victoria Land, here you have the Ross Ice Shelf also. ठीक है? मैरी बर्ड लैंड के इधर हमने एक क्वेश्चन पहले देखा था. सो एंड अमंडसन स्कॉट यूएसए, अमंडसन सी के बारे में भी बात की थी. ठीक है? सो दिस होल एरिया इज, आई बिलीव, फेयरली यू आर acquainted with it now. And the other thing that we were talking about, that the Ross Sea region, it has roughly 32% of world's Adelie penguins. ठीक है? 26% of emperor penguins, 30% of Antarctic petrels, that is 1/3 of these, and more than 1/3 of these Adelie penguins. ठीक है? तो जो भी species जो जहाँ पे dominant presence होती है जिसकी, वो at least you should be aware of. Fine. चलिए. So that is all for today. I believe I was able to deliver up to the expectations, and what I was able to make it clear amply to all of you. Even if there is something which is stuck and you couldn't comprehend, then please just pen it down. We will certainly discuss it in the next live session that we will have, right? So that is all from my side. This is Piyush signing off. All of you have a great weekend. Take care, stay safe. Thank you so much.